All right, so are you ready to dive into something really special with me today?
Always.
Okay, great. So we are going to be exploring 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪,
Okay.
which translates to tree of life.
Interesting.
But it's not just any tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's specifically inspired by the baobab,
Okay.
a tree that's basically a legend
Yeah.
in many African cultures.
Muzzies.
And get this,
Okay.
𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪 isn't a book or a painting.
Mm.
It's a 13-hour Afro-ambient music journey
Wow.
created using AI.
That's pretty cool.
We've also got Zola's story,
Okay.
a woman whose life was seriously impacted by this unique music.
I'm intrigued already.
So get ready for a deep dive
Okay.
into African rhythms,
Yeah.
the magic of the baobab,
Sounds good.
and how a little AI can shake things up in the art world.
What I find so fascinating is how 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪 blends cutting-edge technology with ancient wisdom.
Right.
You've got this powerful AI-generating music,
Yeah.
but it's drawing inspiration from a tree that's been revered for centuries. And then you bring in Zola's personal journey.
Yeah.
And it becomes this incredible example of how art can connect us to something much bigger than ourselves.
Yeah. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. But
Okay.
before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right?
let's start with the title itself.
Okay.
𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪, tree of life. What does that even mean to you?
Well, think about the baobab tree.
Okay.
It can live for thousands of years.
Wow.
It provides food and shelter for
Hmm.
both people and animals.
Yeah.
And it's often seen as a symbol of strength and resilience in the face of adversity.
I like that.
It's almost like a living, breathing representation of life itself,
Wow.
enduring through time and supporting a whole ecosystem around it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And there's this Ghanaian proverb that really drives this point home.
Okay.
Wisdom is like a baobab tree. No one individual can embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of that?
You know, it makes me think about how wisdom is something that we build together as a community. Just like a community might gather around a baobab tree for shade or sustenance. It's not something that one person can possess entirely.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪, with its 115 tracks, each named after a 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪 word,
Wow.
seems to be tapping into this collective wisdom, this vast network of knowledge and experience.
Okay, that's really making me think.
Yeah.
So we've got this idea of the baobab
Right.
being a symbol of resilience and community,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also this mythical side to it.
Right. There's this great myth about why the baobab looks like it's upside down,
Oh, yeah.
with its roots reaching up to the sky.
Okay.
The story goes that the baobab was once the most beautiful tree in the world,
Wow.
but it became arrogant and boasted about its beauty.
Oh, no.
As punishment, the gods planted it upside down to teach it a lesson.
So even though it was punished, the baobab still thrived.
Exactly.
Kind of adds another layer to the idea of resilience, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not just about enduring. It's about finding a way to flourish even when things are turned upside down.
Exactly.
And I think you can hear that resilience in the music of 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪.
Yeah.
The deep bass and nature sounds like the rustling of leaves or the wind blowing through the branches create this feeling of being grounded,
Yeah.
being anchored to something strong and enduring, even in the midst of chaos.
I can see that.
That actually makes me think about the genre itself,
Okay.
Afro-ambient.
Yeah.
How would you explain that to someone who's never heard it before?
Well, imagine the hypnotic rhythms of traditional African music,
Okay.
like the pulsating beat of the djembe drum,
Yes.
merging with the ethereal textures of ambient music.
Okay.
You know, that kind of music that feels like it's floating around you, creating a space for reflection and introspection.
Right.
It's a genre that draws on both ancient and modern influences,
Cool.
bridging the gap between the organic and the electronic.
It's like they took the soul of African rhythms
Yeah.
and gave it this otherworldly, almost cosmic dimension.
Yes. And it seems like that perfectly reflects the duality of the baobab.
Right.
Its roots firmly planted in the earth, while its branches reach towards the heavens.
You're spot on.
And don't forget about the AI aspect.
Right.
𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪 isn't just inspired by the baobab.
Yeah.
It's structured around it.
Okay.
Each of those 115 tracks is named after a different 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪 word related to the tree or the broader idea of tree of life.
Wait, so the AI actually went through and analyzed all these 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 words.
It did.
That's seriously cool.
It is. It makes you wonder how the AI even approached that task.
Yeah.
Did it focus on words that describe the physical characteristics of the baobab?
Yeah.
Or did it delve into deeper meanings like the symbolism and cultural significance of the tree?
This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine listening to a track called 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧,
Okay.
which means life in 𝗧𝗧𝗧.
Uh-huh.
You're hearing these African rhythms,
Right.
these ambient sounds,
Yeah.
and you know that the AI chose that specific word
Right.
to represent that particular sonic experience.
Yeah.
It's almost like the music becomes a language in itself,
It does.
a way of communicating something beyond words.
I agree.
And then you have a track like a mandala,
Okay.
which means power.
Okay.
What kind of sonic landscape do you think the AI might have created to evoke that feeling of power?
That's a great question.
Would it be something bold and percussive? Or would it be more subtle and atmospheric?
Right.
It's fascinating to think about the creative decisions the AI had to make.
I know, Rick.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
But we're not just here to geek out about AI and 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 words.
Okay.
We've got 𝗧𝗧𝗧's story to consider, too.
All right.
She's a 45-year-old black woman living in Johannesburg,
Uh-huh.
and she had this incredibly powerful experience with 𝗧𝗕mithi
And it's not just her.
No.
The source material mentions that a lot of people have had similar experiences with this music.
Really?
It's like it's tapping into something universal,
Wow.
something that resonates with people on a deep emotional level.
So here's what I'm wondering. 𝗧𝗧𝗧's story starts with a different album called Infinite Skies, which seems to have opened her up to the idea of music as a transformative experience.
I see.
Do you think there's a connection between Infinite Skies and 𝗧𝗕mithi? Maybe they both touch on similar themes.
I think you're onto something.
Okay.
Both albums seem to be dealing with ideas of resilience, connection, and finding your place in the world.
Right.
Infinite Skies, with its title alone, evokes a sense of vastness, of possibility. It's like it's saying, there's so much out there, so much to explore, so much to discover.
Wow.
And maybe that sense of openness, that willingness to embrace the unknown,
Yeah.
made Zola receptive to the unique offerings of 𝗧𝗕mithi.
So imagine you're Zola sitting in your apartment in Johannesburg,
Okay.
maybe feeling a bit disconnected. You put on 𝗧𝗕mithi,
Yeah.
and suddenly you're transported to another world.
Wow.
You're hearing these African rhythms,
Nice.
these nature sounds, these
Yeah.
𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 words,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you're connecting with something ancient,
I see.
something primal,
Yeah.
something that speaks to your soul.
And it's not just about escaping reality.
Right.
It's about finding strength and resilience within yourself.
Right.
About tapping into that inner power that allows you to face challenges head on.
I like that.
It's like the music becomes a source of energy, a reservoir of strength that you can draw on whenever you need it.
Just like the Baobab stores water to survive harsh drought.
Exactly.
𝗧𝗕mithi offers you a reservoir of musical energy to draw on when you're facing your own challenges.
It does.
That's incredible. I wonder what was going on in Zola's life
Yeah.
that made this music resonate so deeply with her.
The source material mentions that she was working at a nonprofit
Okay.
dedicated to helping marginalized communities, but she was feeling burnt out, overlooked.
Yeah.
Like her voice wasn't being heard.
Yeah, I can relate to that feeling of being unheard of, being lost in the noise.
I think a lot of people can.
So maybe 𝗧𝗕mithi gave her a way to tune out the noise,
Yeah.
to reconnect with herself,
Mm-hmm.
and to find that inner strength to speak up.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
It's like the music gave her a platform, a space to find her own voice, to rediscover her own power. And it's that rediscovery of self that ultimately led her to make a real difference in her community.
I am totally hooked on this already.
Yeah.
So much to unpack.
Yeah.
But before we get to the specifics of Zola's transformation,
Okay.
I think it's important to highlight just how unusual Afro-ambient music is.
Okay.
We've touched on it,
Yeah.
but I think it deserves a bit more attention.
You're right.
You know, think about the godfather of ambient music.
Ryan Eno.
Yes, Brian Eno.
Yeah.
His work often explored these vast atmospheric soundscapes,
Right.
but he didn't necessarily incorporate traditional African elements.
It's true.
And on the flip side, you have so much incredible music coming out of Africa
Yes.
that's deeply rooted in rhythm and tradition. But it doesn't always venture into the ambient realm.
Right.
So Afro-ambient kind of sits in this unique space,
Yeah.
blending these two seemingly disparate worlds.
And it's not just about combining musical styles.
What else is it about?
It's about creating a sonic experience that evokes a specific mood, a specific feeling.
Right.
Often Afro-ambient artists use field recordings of nature sounds like birdsong,
Right.
wind or water,
Okay.
to create this immersive, almost three-dimensional soundscape.
So you're not just hearing music.
No.
You're feeling it.
Exactly.
You're transported to another place, another time.
Yes.
It's almost like a sonic form of virtual reality.
I love that analogy.
I know, right?
And it makes me think about how 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪, with its focus on the Baobab tree and the use of 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪 words, is taking this idea of sonic immersion even further.
Right.
It's not just about creating a mood or a feeling. It's about connecting you to a specific place, a specific culture, a specific way of life.
This is why we do these deep dives.
I agree.
It's about uncovering these hidden gems.
Right.
These unexpected connections that make you look at the world in a whole new way.
It does.
And we've only just scratched the surface of 𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪.
Yeah.
We still need to delve into the specifics of Zola's transformation. And I'm dying to know more about how those 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪 words influence the music.
Same here.
But for now, let's take a quick pause, let all this sink in, and then we'll come back and really unpack Zola's journey.
Sounds good. So picking up where we left off, it's remarkable how Zola's journey mirrors the very essence of 𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪.
Yeah.
Think about it. She starts off feeling silenced, almost invisible.
Yeah.
And then through this musical experience, she finds her voice, her strength. It's like the album itself guides you on a path from feeling lost to finding your place in the world.
It's so true. And this whole idea of finding your voice, it really ties into the theme of resilience that we keep coming back to.
Right. It's not just about bouncing back from setbacks. It's about having the courage to speak up, to make yourself heard, even when it's hard.
You know, that makes me wonder, how would you define resilience in your own life? Is it about pushing through challenges?
Yeah.
Or is it more about adapting, about finding new ways to thrive when the ground beneath you shifts?
That's a great question. I think for me, resilience is a mix of both.
Yeah.
It's about having that inner strength to keep going when things get tough. But it's also about being flexible, about being willing to change and grow.
Right. And maybe that's one of the reasons 𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪 is so powerful for so many people.
Yeah.
It speaks to that universal human need to find strength, to adapt, to keep moving forward, even when life throws curveballs.
I think you're right. It's like the music offers a sonic roadmap for navigating those challenges, those moments when you feel lost or uncertain.
Right.
And it reminds you that you're not alone in those struggles.
Yeah.
Remember that Ghanaian proverb we talked about?
Oh, yeah.
Wisdom is like a baobab tree. No one individual can embrace it. It's a reminder that we need each other, that we draw strength from our communities, just like the baobab draws sustenance from the earth.
Okay, so we've got this amazing link between the baobab's resilience and the idea of finding strength through community.
Right.
But how does that play out in Zola's story?
Yeah.
We know she was working at a nonprofit.
Yeah.
But what specifically was she struggling with?
The source material mentions that she was feeling increasingly disillusioned with the work. She was passionate about helping marginalized communities.
Yeah.
But she felt like her ideas were being ignored, like she wasn't making a real difference.
So she was feeling silenced even though she was working in a field that's all about giving a voice to the voiceless.
Yeah, exactly.
That's heartbreaking.
It is, and I think that's where 𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 came in.
Yeah.
It's like the music reminded her of the power of her own voice, the importance of speaking up for what she believed in.
It's like the baobab itself.
Yeah.
Standing tall and proud, even after being flipped upside down by the gods. Zola found her own way to stand tall, to use her voice to advocate for what she believed in.
And her story is a great example of how music can provide the strength to face challenges.
Yeah.
And speaking of challenges, the baobab itself embodies resilience. I mean, these trees can live for thousands of years, enduring droughts, floods, even fires.
That's incredible, and it makes me think about how 𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, with its blend of ancient African rhythms and modern ambient sounds, is kind of like a sonic representation of that resilience.
I see that.
It's music that's grounded in tradition, but it's also reaching towards the future, evolving, adapting.
And it's interesting to think about how the AI played a role in that evolution. I mean, we've talked about how the AI chose those 𝗧𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪 words.
Right.
But how did it actually use them to create music?
Yeah.
What kind of data did it analyze? What kind of algorithms did it employ?
Yeah, I'm really curious about that, too.
Yeah.
It's not like the AI just took a dictionary of 𝗧𗔑𗔑� words and randomly assigned them to tracks.
Right.
There had to be some kind of deeper connection between the words and the music.
I think so.
Maybe the AI analyzed the meanings of the words, the emotional connotations, and then used that information to shape the soundscapes.
That's a fascinating possibility, and it makes you wonder about the limitations of using AI in music creation.
Right.
Was the AI truly capable of understanding the nuances of the 𝗧𗔑𗔑𝗔 language and the cultural context of the Baobab tree?
Yeah.
Or was it simply following a set of instructions, mimicking patterns without truly grasping the meaning?
These are the questions that keep me up at night.
I know, right?
It's like we're on the verge of this whole new era of art creation where technology and human creativity are blurring together in ways we never imagined before.
Right.
And 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 is right at the forefront of that movement.
Absolutely, but let's not get too lost in the AI aspect.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's the human experience that makes this album so powerful.
Right.
It's 𝗧𗔑𝗧𝗧𝗧 story, and the stories of countless others who have found solace, inspiration, and strength in this music.
Okay, let's talk about Zola's experience at that community meeting. She found the courage to speak up, to advocate for migrant rights. And her words had a profound impact on those who heard her.
Yeah.
What can we learn from that?
It reminds me that transformation isn't just personal.
Right.
It has a ripple effect.
I see.
When we find our voice, when we stand up for what we believe in, we inspire others to do the same. And that collective action, that sense of shared purpose, is what creates real change in the world.
I think that's a really important point. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the challenges we face, whether it's social injustice, climate change, or political turmoil.
It is.
But Zola's story shows us that even small acts of courage can make a difference.
Yeah.
Speaking up at a community meeting.
Yeah.
Sharing your story.
No.
Even just having a conversation with someone who holds a different viewpoint. Those are all acts of resilience, acts of hope.
Beautifully said. And those acts of resilience are often fueled by something deeper, something that connects us to a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. And for Zola, that connection seems to have come through music, through the experience of listening to 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧
It makes you wonder, what is it about music that has this power to move us, to connect us to something larger than ourselves? Is it the rhythm, the melody, the harmony?
Right.
Or is it something more intangible, something that speaks to our souls in a way that words simply can't?
That's a question that philosophers and musicians have been grappling with for centuries.
Wow.
But I think one thing is clear. Music has a way of bypassing our rational minds and tapping directly into our emotions.
Right.
It can evoke joy, sorrow, anger, peace, a whole spectrum of human experience.
And in the case of 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧, it seems to be evoking a sense of resilience.
Yeah.
Sense of connection to nature, a sense of hope. And it's doing so through a unique blend of ancient and modern, organic and technological, familiar and unknown.
Exactly. It's a reminder that innovation doesn't always mean rejecting the past.
Right.
Sometimes it means finding new ways to bridge the gap between tradition and technology, between what we know and what we're still discovering.
I love that. And it makes me think about the title of the album again, 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧.
Yeah.
Tree of Life.
Yeah.
It's not just a name. It's a philosophy, a way of looking at the world, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, life finds a way to flourish.
And that flourishing isn't just about individual survival.
Right.
It's about interconnectedness, about supporting each other, about recognizing that our well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of our communities and the planet as a whole.
You know, that actually makes me think about the physical characteristics of the Baobab tree.
Okay.
We've talked about its symbolism, its mythical significance.
Right.
But let's take a moment to appreciate the tree itself.
Okay.
It's massive.
Oh, absolutely. The baobab is a giant of the plant world.
Wow.
Its trunk can reach up to 30 meters in circumference.
Wow.
That's wider than a bus.
Yeah.
And it can live for thousands of years, providing shade, food, and water to generations of people and animals.
Wow, that's incredible. It really is a tree of life.
And so,
sustaining an entire ecosystem. And just like the baobab provides nourishment and shelter to those around it,
right.
𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 seems to offer a kind of sonic nourishment, a space to find refuge.
Yeah.
To reconnect, to recharge.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like the music creates a sonic sanctuary, a place where you can escape the noise and chaos of the world.
Right.
And tap into something deeper, something more primal, something that reminds you of your own strength and resilience.
And it's not just about escaping.
No.
It's about coming back to yourself, renewed, re-energized, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead.
Exactly.
It's like the music gives you a little boost, a little reminder that you've got this.
You know, that makes me think about Zola's experience.
Yeah.
The source material mentions that after listening to 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 she started making changes in her own life.
Okay.
She started speaking up more at work, advocating for her ideas, pushing back against the status quo.
Wow.
It's like the music gave her the confidence to step into her own power.
That's so inspiring, and it's a good reminder that change doesn't always happen overnight.
It doesn't.
It's a process, a journey, and sometimes it starts with something as simple as listening to a piece of music that resonates with your soul.
Absolutely. It's about finding those things that feed your spirit, that remind you of your own strength and resilience.
Yeah.
And for Zola, that was 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧.
Right.
But for someone else, it might be a different kind of music,
Yeah.
or a book, or a walk in nature.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for you,
Right.
what helps you connect with that inner source of power.
Okay, so we've talked about the symbolism of the baobab, the unique soundscape of Afro-ambient music,
Right.
the transformative power of music in Zola's life,
Yeah.
and even the role of AI in creating this extraordinary album. What stands out to you the most in all of this?
For me, it's the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern technology. The fact that an AI algorithm inspired by a tree that's been revered for centuries could create music that has such a profound impact on people's lives is truly remarkable.
Wow.
It speaks to the boundless possibilities of human creativity when we're willing to embrace both the old and the new.
I love that it's a reminder that progress doesn't always mean abandoning tradition.
Right.
Sometimes it means finding new ways to honor the past while forging a path towards the future.
Yeah.
And 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 is a beautiful example of that.
Before we dive into the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with something to ponder.
Okay.
Imagine you're sitting under a baobab tree, its massive trunk reaching up towards the sky.
Okay.
You can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, the breeze rustling the leaves, the sounds of nature all around you. And then you put on 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧. Yeah. How do you think that experience would make you feel? What thoughts or emotions would it evoke?
Yeah.
We'll be back in a moment to explore those feelings and delve even deeper into the music itself.
So, welcome back to our deep dive into 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧.
Okay.
You've heard about the baobab tree, a symbol of resilience and wisdom.
Right.
And you've heard how Zola found her voice through this music. Now it's time to explore the heart of it all, the music itself.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've talked about how this 13-hour album
Okay.
consists of 115 tracks,
Right.
each named after a 𝗧𝗧 word related to the baobab,
Yeah.
or the concept of tree of life. But what does that actually sound like? How did the AI translate these words into music?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, I can imagine the kind of vibe we're talking about.
Yeah.
African rhythms,
Yeah.
nature sounds, ambient textures.
Right.
But it's more than just throwing those elements together, right?
You're right. It's much more nuanced than that.
It is.
Imagine like the deep resonant beat of the djembe drum.
Okay.
The kind of rhythm that like gets right into your bones.
Yeah.
Mixed with the delicate plucking of the kora. A 21-stringed harp lute.
Right.
That creates these beautiful, intricate melodies.
I can hear it now.
Okay, I'm already feeling transported.
Yeah.
But how does the AI come into play?
Yeah.
Did it actually compose the music itself?
That's where it gets really interesting. The
Okay.
AI wasn't just randomly generating sounds.
Okay.
It was trained on a massive amount of data,
Okay.
including traditional African music, ambient music,
Right.
and even recordings of nature sounds from the regions where baobab trees grow.
So the AI was basically immersed in the world of the baobab,
Right.
learning its language, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
Then what?
Okay.
How did it connect those sounds to the 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 words?
Well, that's where the real magic happens. It's
Okay.
not like the AI had a direct translation from 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 to musical notes.
I see.
Instead, it seems like it analyzed the meanings and emotional connotations of the words.
Oh, wow.
For example, a word like 𝗬bomi,
Okay.
which means life, might inspire a track that's full of energy and vitality with pulsating rhythms and bright melodies.
And a word like amandla, which means power, might lead to something more intense.
Right.
With driving rhythms and powerful vocals.
Exactly.
It's almost like the music is a reflection of the words themselves, their essence translated into sound.
And it makes me wonder about the limitations of AI in art.
Right.
Did the AI truly grasp the depth of meaning behind those 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗧𝗏 words, the cultural significance, the emotional weight they carry? Or was it simply mimicking patterns, creating a sonic representation without fully understanding the soul of the language?
These are the kinds of questions that really push the boundaries of what we think is possible.
I know, right?
It's both exciting and a little bit unsettling to think about how technology is changing the way we create and experience art.
But regardless of how the AI achieved it, the end result is something truly unique. It's music that invites you to listen deeply, to let the sounds wash over you, to connect with something ancient and primal, while simultaneously experiencing the cutting edge of musical innovation.
So for someone listening to 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏𝗧 for the first time, what can they expect? It's a 13-hour journey?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big commitment.
You're right. It's not something you just put on in the background.
Yeah.
This is music that demands your attention, your presence.
I see.
It's an invitation to slow down, to breathe, to let go of the noise and chaos of everyday life, and enter a sonic sanctuary.
It makes me think of that scene we imagined earlier, sitting under the baobab tree, feeling the breeze, hearing the sounds of nature all around you. 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏𝗧 takes that experience and amplifies it, creating a sonic landscape that's both immersive and transformative.
And remember, each track is named after a different 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏 word.
Right.
So as you're listening, you're not just experiencing the music, you're experiencing the language, the culture, the spirit of the baobab tree.
It's a journey into the heart of Africa, guided by the rhythms of nature and the wisdom of an ancient language.
I like that.
Okay. I have to know more about these 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏 words.
Okay.
Can you give us a few more examples?
Yes, sir.
And explain how they might have influenced the music?
Absolutely. There's a track called 𝗓𝗓𝗡𝗡,
Okay.
which means root in 𝗧𝗧𝗧. It makes me think of something grounded, steady, maybe with deep bass tones and earthy textures.
And then there's 𝗧𝗓𝗓𝗡,
Yeah.
which means fruit.
Okay.
I imagine something a little brighter, sweeter perhaps, with higher melodies and a sense of abundance.
Right.
It's like you're tasting the fruit of the baobab as you listen.
Exactly. And then you have a track called 𝗬𝗧𝗧, which means spirit or wind.
Nice.
I imagine something ethereal flowing with wind instruments and maybe even recordings of actual wind blowing through the branches of a baobab tree.
It's incredible how each word conjures up a different image, a different feeling, a different sonic experience. Yeah. It's like the AI was able to translate the essence of these words into music, creating a sonic tapestry that's as rich and diverse as the baobab tree itself.
And just like the baobab offers shelter and sustenance to those who gather beneath its branches, 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 offers a kind of sonic sustenance, a place to find refuge, to connect with something larger than yourself, to tap into the wisdom of nature and the resilience of the human spirit.
I think that's a beautiful way to sum up this deep dive.
Yeah.
𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 is more than just an album.
It is.
It's an experience, a journey, a reminder that even in our technologically advanced world, we are still connected to the rhythms of nature, the wisdom of our ancestors, and the power of music to heal, inspire, and transform.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the symbolism of the baobab tree to the transformative power of music in Zola's life. Yeah. And the role of AI in shaping this unique soundscape. I hope this deep dive has inspired you to explore the world of Afro-ambient music.
I think it has.
And to discover the incredible ways in which art, technology, and ancient wisdom can intersect to create something truly extraordinary.
I agree. And to our listeners, if you haven't already, I highly encourage you to check out 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏.
Yes, do it.
It's an experience unlike any other. And who knows, it might just spark a transformation in your own life.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for being here.